Hello everyone. Today I will present about table creation art. So this presentation I will focus on and preparation of the data and also data summarization means using tab to generate publication ready tables and combine summaries. Example using an example data, also row and wise percentages, and also handling missing values as well as categories in a variable, and also formatting of a table. That means adding headers, footers, captions in the table, and customizing fonts, alignments, colors, also borders, and also output example maybe publication ready, maybe or any other. The other is also table options. For example, if there are multiple responses per one variable, we'll see this with example, and also using an interactive table options also. So for this presentation, we will see study how to prepare a publication ready table and come to the importance of creation for data analysis is a day-to-day activity for a researcher or anyone working in data is day-to-day activity, and table is very important to summarize data. So table is very important. So why we are in this presentation about automating table presentation is the following reasons. One is saves time. You are copy and paste the table, but if you take an automation option, you can get table maybe 20, 30 tables within an hour, but you are using manual option. It may, for example, creating my table from my experience will take about 1 to 2 days. So it is very important to automate table creation, saves time and ensures consistent formatting from table to table as well, and also reduces manual errors as well. Because when you copy from, for example, R or any other software, there is a probability to do error because of copy and paste and other options or manually writing. So if you an automated options, reduce errors well. So it is ideal for generating tables. It will in Word format, or it may be in PDF format, or it may be in HTML. So we'll see example data, how to create a publication ready table using different. So I'll go to actual data. So this is our today's presentation. Maybe this is of the table I will create with R table. So we need to install some important, for example, flextable, or there are other table options as well to generate a publication ready table. So in this, I will address over two different contents. Example, creating a table title and footer, missing value with percentage, value without percentage, and also adding lines, horizontal lines only, for example, row percentages, column percentages, and also a variable, for example, have a multiple response. How can we handle and create an automatic table options? And also I will present an interactive options. So are some of the required packages this presentation. So for your information, I have already created this data and make ready for presentation. Are just the initial cleaning and creating data that is relevant to this presentation. There is another this is the data, but this table one is just we are using a data. So this presentation is focusing on how we create a publication table. Go by step. Now, example, this is a table of the option table is and footer. That means, for example, we have, when we create a title, we have a title, we have footer, and so this title we just start automated table, but without and footer. So this is our data. Specifically, if we are using automating a table, that means we are technically creating many variables as table. So it is important to make sure all variables in the table have same format. For example, in my current, I make all variables that are my data set as a character. For example, if you say this is weekday in numeric, if this is in character, so that will not work. So one of the that's used to table creating using the function. So this is the function. So we used to create an automatic options. We have a data in our data frame and then variables and the labels on the values of that variable here. And then we will do that data and also doing some, and also that means variables with frequency. This tabyl is frequency tabulation. This variable group 3 is the variable, the outcome of interest in my, that means the variable, it will be presented in the, to calculate row percentage or column. So C runs the code. So once we did filtering and then the next one is, for example, in terms of table, create tab. That means the one we created here. Then we actually connect our data frame. Vaccination 1524 is a data frame. That means the data frame I am using for this presentation. So data is vaccination uptake, vaccination pattern. So VIXI group 3 is technically grouped the vaccination groups. That means there is, and there are also childhood related vaccines, and I group other vaccines as other groups. Once we create the variable, for example, in this table to present 1, 2, 4, 6 variables, and then this is the variable name and this is the label I want to display in the table. That means I print tables, then I will have weekday, year, marital status, gender, and age. These are the variable names. That means the ones that are connected variable in this function on the top. Now we create, for example, is on age, tabs is by 6. Then we will bind, that means we will append as the following order. So is very important for your ordering. So my final output, I will have 6 age status here. This is the presentation I used. So if you are not familiar with appending and appending and merging, I advise you to as other presentation about or appending of the data. Anyways, I'm here data for variables. Once I append data, then the next option is calculate. Example in this presentation, use wise. That means the I will get will be a row wise, means percentage technically, and then the presentation of the outcomes be comma separated. That means then the outcomes will be comma separated, and this is a respiratory vaccine. This is means the variable, and then this is a label, and then this respiratory vaccines will be presented inside the comma. Inside the comma to calculate the percentage. So technically the percentage will be this comma. So technically I have a vaccine, a respiratory vaccine, and then this is the total. That means my outcome variable have 3 groups. That means respiratory vaccine, childhood vaccine, and other. So I calculated the row-wise total. Then once I calculate the row-wise total, then each group I divided the observed for each vaccine, the total vaccines. That means the total, and this is present the outcome in digit 1. That means decimal point 1. And then after that I do ungroup, and then after that step is variable names. Coming in a second, what does it mean? For example, if we are not using 1, will come, for example, for 6 male 6. So avoid that one. That means for per 6 to have only 1. Then I say 1. Then the next one is getting counts per vaccine group. Then this is to get 20 total of each vaccine. One is all the above contents. Then the next one is a flextable. A flextable is one of the packages that uses to publication ready table. So I use the data frame I use. So I tab combine is all this. Then category, respiratory, childhood, and others. These are the variables are interested. For category, that means we set as a header of the table, and then also category can write whatever your preference. For example, I named type, and for label I values. For respiratory I prefer to present number and inside percentage, and for childhood as well as other group I prefer to in the column and heading as number and percentage. And other is also add header row, means row. Means, for example, if we are interested, we have vaccine. How many, for example, for respiratory illness, how many were count of technically vaccines or childhood vaccines or other. So this is that connects the totals. That means total vaccinated respiratory vaccines. That means N equal to this big mark will N equal to total of the respiratory. So I'll show you this one in demonstration just in a second. This is the code that gives us what we want. Then other header I want to describe is description and vaccine uptake. So this description is technically used for end level, so that at 2, and then uptake, that means for respiratory vaccines, childhood, and other. Then I use uptake, that means a title. You can choose whatever you like, and then will be on column. The next one is just term. That means, for example, will come in this then we create, because we have created a lot of above, so it's easy to remove. Your working will be clean. Let's code and see if it is. So I'll run from here and we'll see. So run here. Oh, it's working. That's good. Good news. Okay. This is so for example, I have vaccination uptake, and now the respiratory vaccines, and we have N and total number of vaccine, and we have number and percentage, and A is footnote here, and we have age, marital status, variables in weekdays. That means Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Sunday days. So, and also these are the vaccination uptake, and this is one of a nice table presentation option, which is we have, for example, description here, and then we have variable type, and we have values, and we have each variable, we have a category, and then vaccine uptake, we have also what are number of total vaccines in each vaccine group. That means N, as well as what this number totally represents. That means count and percentage. So this is, as I noted previously, it is a digit 1, so it's presented as decimal point 1. This is one of the presentation option without, for example, if you see this table, there is no footnote. So you need to go an additional step, get those steps. So we'll see more advanced options of. I will recap it, make clear what we get. This maybe I will leave it here and we'll see from here. So we have data, that means data frame, and we have example different variable. That means the variable names are here, as we see. Age, marital is a tab combined, that means row bind. That means technically it appends different in order of what we put. For example, tab 6, tab age. For example, if I change age tab 6 here, so that will show you example. If I change that, I hope. Yeah, now its age is becoming first because I presented age. Where is it's here? Yeah, it's one. So you can't change what order you like. For example, if I want to weekday at the first, so what you'll do is take this one, the beginning. Anyways, we can our generally. So if I, for example, take this one, then if I run all, then so now the weekday is coming at a first here. This is one of table presentation option. Can reorder their orders, and also we can in a clean and nice way. So it's publication ready. In a second, you create a very beautiful. So I've done one. So anyways, I will share the code in my GitHub, so you will get the code and you can create different options of table at your home. But that is one for example, if I unhash this one, so we'll see how it looks like. So if I hash this one, yeah, just messy. For example, you have gender, age. If you see in this section, so this is the code that's important. Avoid different. So this is the thing. Example, we only row number to present only one. So once we activate this one, then our table becomes very and publication ready table. Yes, like this. The other one is 1. That means it presents in decimal point 1, and the order of the variables is, as we discussed, the order of variables that is presentation. And this is the column and percentage as well. So we can read up. It will be this way. Yeah, this is one of the presentation option. We can change the names as we like. For example, if I change like variable type, if I say variables for values, if I say, for example, group, so we can our looks like, and can also change this one if we are interested as well. So let's run code. Now variables has become, it was variable type. Now it becomes variable here. Before it was values. Now it becomes group. So anyways, the guys, you can the variables, the values here as you. So I will just their original. Now the other table presentation option, the second presentation option is present the table. That means with this table we'll have title and other description. So in this table, other contents will be similar, but we are added now additional contents in the footer and the table. So there are different ways of to do the footer, but this is one of the good options that gives you the title above the table, and also that means set caption. And the foot is also one of the good things that gives you the footer. That can also use the code. That means, example, we can is add footer or add header. But problem with this is includes as additional column. So I will not prefer this one presentation purpose. I mean, it will be. It will have it needs an additional manual task. So we have included our table, top of the table, and we have also included the footnote. For example, this is the footnote A. So we have example number A from here. So what's this A? Then I defined in the footnote. So A is vaccination proportion were calculated in row wise. So just I give this person this as row wise. So it's clear for readers. In table, usually it should be self-explanatory and be clear. So I need to give the title, and also I need to give these footers. Anything that needs explanation should be explained in the footnote. So this is the thing. We can add title, we can add footnote. So we other content is similar, but we play around footnote and here and that was the previous. So as usual, it's always good to clean the working environment. Then the other is missing values. So in missing is always one of the issue. Missing data is one of the issue. So when we calculate or when we present the table, for example, if the number of in each category are not same, we need to the numbers of missing values. So presentation section or this code be similar, but the previous one, but it has an additional component. That means any account is greater than 1. That means if missing value is greater than 1, then we will label missing. That means the outcome will be missing, and then we will include in our this is that connects our missing. That means we have data and variable. So in our data and variable, if missing value greater than 1, then it will include in our this is a similar code with the previous one, but I've also included an additional content. That means a missing value compared to the previous one. So if I run this code, then I will get another table that have missing value. For example, marital status, it has a missing value. So this is a missing value. Now we have included variables don't have missing values. If there is no missing value, so we will not see a missing, but if there is missing value, then we will include a missing value. For example, there is missing value 380, 365, and 90 values here. This is one of a good tip presentation option, but as we see in this table, one of the problem usually in missing values usually may not be interested to present the missing value because there is no marital status for the group, so it's just usually doesn't make sense include the for missing value. So next, presenting values as only counts. So technically, from this value we have a code. That means if there is any account means if there is a value greater than 1, then we'll include it as a missing. That out the missing value is here. There is just say this row missing. I'll show you where it is. So this is the functions that creates the codes as we discussed. This is appending our different values, and this is the Trimus law value. This excludes, takes out the percentage within the missing value. If there is missing, then we'll take out the percentage and we'll only present the count of missing value. Other than that, functions of the table will be similar. So I'll run this code and you have the output like, I think, yeah, now coming very beautiful and clean table. So for missing value now, I don't have any percentage anymore. For missing, I have only 380, 365, and 90. Before there was a missing in bracket, but now there is no missing, I mean, there is no percentage, which is in my research and data presentation experience. This is the data presentation option preferred as well as present or any presentation. Now we have finished for missing. One is including missing value with percentage by default. The other is missing value. That means only presenting the count of or observed missing value. Then the next presentation will be of the lines. So as you see, for this presentation, we will have only horizontal line in the table. So for other codes will be similar, but when we format the codes, the horizontal line will be on table. So show you where it is. So this is the example 10 box. This is the table presentation option, and this is the border line. So, example, if I use a border line as that means inner horizontal, then presents the horizontal lines. If I say vertical, then it will present only the vertical lines. If I out this one, then it will present, for example, if I hash this and if I run, then it will have will be which is a square, the vertical, horizontal, and all lines together. So this is not usually the preferred table presentation option from my experience. So we need to code, that means border. You can change this one if you prefer vertical. And the other is also with our current presentation, I justified. If we, for example, prefer center, presentation be a little bit. So that means can anyway suggest the fonts and presentation options. So this is the center, the variable. So now they are into the center of the, and also there is a border. So you can change and also the size and also the alignment of as well. If I run this code, so for lines, so let's move step by step. The one option is only presenting the horizontal lines. So for horizontal lines, as I noted previously, I activate border inner. That means the inside of the table. So it's horizontal. So this is a horizontal presentation option. So I have lines, which is one of the presentation preferred by most reporters and publications. The other is adding all lines. That means horizontal lines are visible. We have already checked one in the previous example, so I will skip one. Other presentation is remove all lines. That means all lines. This is also one of the table option preferred by most journals. So for this one, check remove. So if I remove all border, that means this is a code will the borders, and I deactivated this one. So if I run this code, other codes will be similar, but the border remove all will remove all. So this is the other way of table, and also by most journals and also options, there is no line inside and there is no line in the top and below. So anyways, this is one of the good presentation and automating our presentation option is formatting color. Sometimes we prefer to have different colors and formatting. For example, the current table is white, there is no any color, but sometimes maybe to have some format, different reasons. So the codes will be similar, feeding our variables, data frame, and functions. So then the section when formatting, this is the size. We can also adjust the font size as well. Font is, you can also choose which font name. For example, I use time here. For body, with the inside table, I use 11. The header, I use 12. And for in the footer, I use. So you can play around font sizes you prefer. You can change this one as you want. And also the other one is around what is the color. For example, I use light blue. And also for others, I prefer light gray. And that means columns sequence 1 to this one. That means every other will be light gray and white. Every other sequence, it will be light. And so if I run this code, so now we will get a different. So our table is now in good visible, bit more higher size, and also this one a little bit. This is 10, and as we see, it is gray light at the top and also gray white other. This is one of the things. If you prefer a presentation option, we can change font size, the color, the theme we prefer. For example, rather than white, if I say, for example, red, need to know the spelling, so ways to not work, then I will now come. So I run this one. Yeah, so this is the other thing. That means technically there is light gray and then red. So you can change anyways color prefer on the header and the body, and also you can change the color size, the font size, and also the font. So this is out on the different of the. Now the other table presentation is as well as column wise. So the row wise percentage is the one I discussed. That means calculating I use row wise at here, and totals are based on row. So total is depending on the total of the rows. So if I divide the observed VAS by total, so it will be a row-wide percentage, and then presenting inside the here. Other option is column-wise. So for column, other for table will be similar as we discussed, but only difference be the totals. That means the percentages. So previously we have used wise, but now we are interested to use in column, so we use group by, and then by category of the variable. Categories for each variable, for example, for gender, we have male, female. So use this grouping. I think it is important also to understand what is group by. That means technically we are grouping and sum the counts each different variables. So we group the variables, and then we'll get then the totals for each different ones. We get, for example, we'll have total for respiratory vaccines, total for childhood vaccines, and total for other vaccines. Then once we have that one, for example, for respiratory, we'll get, if not missing, it's important to exclude missing in calculating column percentage. Otherwise, it will finding it. So not missing technically, we are excluding missing value in column calculation. And as previously noted, it's important to use, counts only in the, so this option, we can divide total. For example, this is total respiratory vaccine for respiratory, for child, for total childhood. For other group, when we will divide it by total other, that means the totals will calculated here. That means also included not missing values, so we will not have missing values in column and percentage. So we have used a group by variables. Technically, we are grouping the variables, so we need to ungroup them to have their actual presentation option, and then we select the category, level, respiratory, childhood, and other groups. These are technically the column variables. As we see, we have different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are technically selecting in our table here. And then other things will be, as we discussed in the previous slide. If I run this, I will get a column percentage rather than row percentage. So that means, for example, it is percentage. So we need to our code to avoid this percentage. Anyways, plus 53.5. So it was 100%. So on each category, we'll get 100% each category. I'll show you how to avoid this percentage inside. We have already set to say percentage here, so we don't need to repeat percentage in each category. So somewhere, so I'll take out the percentage here. This is the code that brings the percentage, so it should work. It should exclude now the percentages. Yep. Here it is. We get a very clean table, and we have already declared number is percentage, so we don't need to percentage in each. So this is the column and percentage, nice and clean. Table option is now have multiple response tables. In multiple response tables, usually individual, for example, for vaccine type, they may have vaccine, and also they may have COVID-19 or other purchases or other vaccines at the same year. So this case will be yes for influenza, yes for and yes for COVID. So in of these response tables, we will get to another more advanced options to handle multiple missing values. So other example, we have data, and we have variable group, and we have a group factor. The most important is especially response tables is need to prepare variables individually. For example, this is the vaccine pattern that has variable will have, for example, vaccines, both vaccines in this sense is if they are vaccinated, example, influenza, and also for other vaccines, maybe COVID-19 or maybe pertussis or varicella or any other vaccines. So this, for example, I want to, since I prefer data, this is in this data frame, I want to bring both category and no category. Both, when I say both, it will have both vaccines. That means influenza, that means a person who is vaccinated under both, that means both influenza and the vaccine. So if I say influenza, it will be double counted. So the percentage or the column percentage will be more than 100 because there is double counting. So for influenza, for example, I want to present both. No, maybe other one is for influenza. I present, for example, this is the influenza. There is, for example, if there is influenza, yes, then I say name as influenza, and also group by variable. That means flu vaccination if it is yes, and then proportion for then after that I will keep influenza yes only. That means excluded those who side no, this group. And from this one, from the top one, filter, that means this is percent both and no, and excluded those who are influenza only or other. Now at the end of the day, I will have both influenza and other vaccine. And influenza vaccine, that means influenza vaccine will be also part of both, including only those who are vaccinated influenza. Also, no, that means not vaccinated or both. That means non-vaccinated. I put for influenza and for no group. Then I will do, that means data here, pivot wider. That means after we the data for different sections, we need to into format. I think if you are not familiar pivot wider, and it's important to see another video on this one. This does is data to be both influenza and no options as we stated here. We just comma, that means our count is more than 100,000, then we use, that means comma separated like this. And then is a data preparation option in ways to have a more complex options. That means multiple responses, for example, multiple responses, any different interest. I'll go on this variable selection. And other one is if I have description variables, for example, I want to describe complex table with age and also vaccination service here. We'll combine data with rows. That means where I'm appending the data one over the other, and then as the data is prepared, then the next one is flextable. So flextable is, we discussed, will be similar. So multiple response tables, the only difference be preparations. That means we need to prepare the data in each different data frame, merging them into one data frame, and before making wider and then them. So let's see this table outcome. Like if I run this code, so this is one of the beautiful table that gives us complex tables. When I say more complex, for example, if you add up one as a column and percentage, it will be more than 100 because there is multiple response. Or if you add up, for example, row percentage or column percentage, anyways, they are more than 100 because there are the individuals who are in both groups, they are also in a group as well. We'll change, this one is not only, so it is also as well. Next table presentation option is, at the moment we have only row percentage, but if we need to have a column and percentage, so the code gives us a column and percentage, other things be similar, so we use a group by category category. That means a category of, and then once we collapse the variables and get one group, we group and calculate outcomes for each outcomes. Then after that, we'll have a column. So this is the column percentage. So if I expand up, I think I should run this one. So this is a percentage, but it is more than 100 because it responses each category. Option is for table, an interactive option. So when I say interactive table option, I use which is a function that uses our table interactive. So this interactive table presentation at the interactive, we use table here. This data table will make our table. So I'll show you how the other things are similar. So just I didn't need to discuss that. So now we get an interactive and very beautiful table. So this is an interactive table. When we an interactive table, we can sort, we can print, this table as we prefer, we can print this table as well. I can search this table as well. And as you see here, data presentations, you can click next depending on the table. And it's interactive. For example, if you want to sort by respiratory, so the presentation will be, for example, sort by respiratory illness. If you sort by childhood illness, then the presentation will be childhood. So this is an interactive table, so you can search by level or by category and will get you want. And also you can search table different contents as well. So we have addressed most of the things in this presentation. So one of the tips, automatic tables in R, is very important and saves a lot of times. And also it's error. So it's use flexible functions like create tab to avoid duplicate code duplications and table generations. And we also need two values and also use different missing value handling options. And also need to keep the table clean and ready. And also we just headers, font styles, audience, focus, and insight. And so it's always important to also the organization or the journal or style format consistency. So you can format according to the consistency. So once you format, then you can automatically generate the table in a professional and also you can also use R Markdown and Quarto report to generate a PDF or a Word document as well. Rather than this one, you can generate as a Word as well. I will present different about Quarto or Markdown. So much your eye.